Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we start to play. Steelers by the lake. Wouldn't know what to say. James Strong, Cody Tanner, hosts on the mic. About to dive in deep, keep it live. That's right.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you this Saturday morning?
James, I'm doing all right. Feels like it's been a long weekend already, and it's only 10 a.m. on a Saturday. So just going through it, man. But oh my Lanta, we got Steelers football this weekend. Officially week 1. Excited for that. James, how are you?
Doing good, man. Surprisingly well. Shout out to all the friends and family who reached out to me yesterday. It was kind of a heavy day. It was a year since the passing of my wife. So miss her dearly, love her to death. Had a good day thanks to a lot of you. And also my wonderful girlfriend, Erica, kept me busy all day long. Didn't let me sit around and mope and think about it and be sad and depressed, which would have been extremely easy to do.
Yeah.
So appreciate Erica very much, and all of you as well.
Yeah.
So lots of fun things to talk about here, Cody.
Fun things, numbers, facts, signings, all kinds of things to talk about. First off, we're going to do Steelers by the Lake news. So we're going to look at August, last month in review. We're going to go over the top states and countries. James, I'll do states if you want to do countries. You cool with that?
Yeah.
So number 1, no surprise this time, Pennsylvania. Number 2, Massachusetts sneaking up on the board. That was interesting. Number 3 in downloads was Virginia. Number 4 was Texas, my old stomping grounds. And then number 5, we have a 4-way tie for 5th, James. West Virginia, where I'm at right now. Ohio, Missouri, and Indiana all tied for 5th in downloads. Weird. Interesting.
Yeah. And that's how you end up with 8 states in your top 5 right there.
Whatever. We'll take it.
Happy to see it. Appreciate all the new listeners, especially that uptick in Massachusetts. That's a real pleasant surprise there. Now, top countries. We don't always do this, but it was a larger international month than normal. So we're going to give everybody a shout out. Of course, the United States of America being the number 1 downloaded country. Real nice numbers for us in Canada. Looks like our listenership is back at it up there and our friendly neighbors up north. I think specifically Saskatchewan, if I remember correctly here. Number 3, Russia. Number 4, the United Kingdom, specifically England. And then tied with them was Ireland. So real nice international downloads from last month, and appreciate every single one of you, the new and the reoccurring, coming back all the time, loyal listeners that we have.
And it was Saskatchewan.
That's been the heavy, it's not states up there, right? Province. That's been the heavy province.
Yep. Yep. I'm looking at some of the other ones, just seeing if there's anything else to shout out, but no, that looks like it. Real exciting to get back into the swing of regular season here. Before we get into talking the Atlanta Falcons, we'll go over the injury report. We'll break down their roster, kind of give our 2 cents on what the team needs to do to win, and share our 3 keys to success in beating the Atlanta Falcons, as we always do. Again, you guys, if you are new to the show or just joining us for the first time, feel free to go in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or message us on social media if you're listening to us on any one of our audio outlets. Message us your 3 keys to success to beating Atlanta. If you hit on one, or if you go spot on, hey, we got to hold them under 100 yards rushing, and we'll come home with the win, and those things happen, we would love to share those with the other viewers and listeners on the podcast next week as we do the recap show of this week 1 game. So, James, before we do get too far, let's talk a lot of things here, a lot of signings, a lot of kind of just roster moves going on before this game even happens.
First one, we talked a little bit in the preseason about the International Pathway Program player Julius Weisshoff, who was the outside linebacker. He had 2 sacks in that final preseason game, had an injury to his knee, ended up on the injured reserve. Pittsburgh replaced him on the practice squad with another International Pathway Program player, a cornerback by the name of Ayo Oyalola. He's like 5'11", 205, has a little bit of history playing the cornerback position. So this allows for another roster exemption, allows you to keep 17 guys on the practice squad instead of 16 because he doesn't count against the number. And I think that is a brilliant move for Pittsburgh to always have one of these guys. It's like a lottery ticket, man. And it's a free lottery ticket at that. It doesn't cost you anything. I guess it kind of does in the aspect of the salary of the player on the practice squad. Sure, that is something that you have to pay, but you're talking like $150,000, $180,000 to an NFL franchise. That's nothing to have a lottery ticket of someone who could possibly be beneficial to you down the road. So I'm all for having that roll of the dice on an international player like that and give them an opportunity to chase their NFL dreams and maybe even help you out as the season progresses. You never know where things are going to go. And our cornerback position is an interesting one this year. So kid might get a chance to play. You never know.
It is. And he spent some time with the Jacksonville Jaguars between 2022 and 2024 before us picking him up. He's been listed both as just a defensive back and a safety. I don't know exactly where Pittsburgh will potentially utilize him, but he's from Essex, United Kingdom. So 25 years old. Very exciting. His birthday's coming up next month. So he'll be 26 years old. Anyways, let's move on real quick. We did announce team captains. So team captains this year are Cam Hayward. No surprise there. Miles Killebrew. No surprise there. TJ Watt. No surprise there. And Russell Wilson. Not really a surprise there, considering that he's like the most veteran guy that we have on offense now. But I'm very curious to see how he takes that leadership role. I know that he struggled a little bit with that role in Denver and, whatever happened there with him having his own office, I don't remember. There was drama. That's all I recall. But I'm curious to see how Russell handles this moving forward, especially when we get to the injury report later, finding out that he might not even be playing in week 1. But we'll get to that. Spencer Anderson is listed to start at left guard. So that'll be a good, interesting time for him to see him get a little bit of a role because we'll go over injuries later again, but Pittsburgh will be potentially, or they are out. They're starting left guard. Isaac Seumalo, again, we'll get to that in the injury report. Two big signings that I want to talk back to back here, James. We'll go back to the other one here in a second. Cam Hayward gets 3-year, $4 million extension. Not a lot of money in that, but happy to have him extended for 3 years.
Yeah, that's a little typo there. It's not supposed to be a $4 million extension, obviously.
It was 40. Was it 40?
He got an average of $15 million per year on the new deal. It was $29 million over the next 2 years. So he still has the $16 million contract. So I think they sold it as a 3-year, $45 million deal.
Makes sense.
But technically it's only $29 million in new money because the final year of his current deal is $16 million for this current season. So they were able to restructure some of that in order to save some cap space for this season. Fold some of that into the next 2 years. Technically the next 2 years are $15 million salary wise per season. But of course you've got the differences as far as the signing bonus, that sort of thing. So 3 years, $45 million on the extension technically, but it was like a 2-year, $29 million extension. And that allows him to get into some elite category. It's kind of a significant thing. He's a little over 80 sacks in his career right now. And apparently the track record of guys that play the defensive line position and get 90 plus sacks in their career that end up in the Hall of Fame is a really high percentage. So his chances of getting there are very good with 3 more years left.
Yeah. Very excited to see what Cam could potentially do. Another signing that happened, Pat Frymuth gets his 4-year extension, 4-year, $48 million contract extension. So that's roughly $12 million a year. Excited for Pat Frymuth. This was the one we were kind of waiting for and hoping for, that Pat would get extended. Pat would be staying. So very excited to have that number 1 tight end for 4 more years. Need it.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about that, Cody.
Oh, I
it
know.
might be 10:05 in the morning, but we're going to celebrate that sucker right now. It's just an energy drink. Calm down, folks. I am not drinking quite this early, but I'm going to celebrate that. Love seeing a Penn State player being celebrated for my favorite NFL franchise, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Pat's been a very good one for Pittsburgh. Had he not missed so much time with concussions last year, I would have expected him to have a pretty large season. In fact, we were talking about it last year. I've got
Yeah.
high expectations for Pat this season, especially with an offense geared towards tight ends. So cheers to Mr. Fryermuth. Happy to have you for an additional 4 years on the 1 year remaining on your current contract. Good, sir.
I got an empty water bottle. I'll cheer too. The last bit of news we'll talk about before we get into this Atlanta Falcons game. Running back Boston Scott was placed on the practice squad injured list. So he is injured. We did sign Aaron Shumklin on the practice squad to replace him. That Shumklin played with us on preseason, had some good runs, showed out a little bit in his limited time to be playing. So excited for that move. Hopefully Boston Scott can come back. He is a well-decorated player in the NFL. He's gotten around a little bit and been on a few teams. I know he played with the Eagles. It might have been just the Eagles, honestly. I can't remember who else.
Yeah, and he's had some good return capability.
Yeah.
So alarming to see that because this, well, from what I like an injured reserve move. Now, I don't know the rules on that when you're on the practice squad, if you're still able to return the same season or not, or if they're able to waive him after he recovers from the injury. But that's a real bad sign. So hopefully for his sake, this is not a serious injury, but I do fear it could possibly be one.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. But James, now it's time to transition over to talk about this Atlanta Falcons football game that we have coming up against Atlanta tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So that is in Atlanta. We are very excited to finally see Pittsburgh Steelers football, regular season football, where we get to see the starters the whole game. We get to see some of these defensive starters that haven't played much, if at all, in the preseason. So very, very excited. James, we'll start off going over their injuries, and then you can go over ours if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
They have 3 guys listed, technically 4 other guys listed with not injury-related, like just being rested. But we'll go over all of them real quick. Nate Landman, the linebacker, dealing with a quad injury, was limited practice Wednesday and Thursday, fully participated on Friday, is expected to play. Kyle Pitts, the amazing, quick, tall, beastie tight end with a hamstring injury, limited on Wednesday, full participation in practice on Thursday and Friday. I expect him to play. Antonio Hamilton, a cornerback dealing with a groin injury, didn't participate Wednesday, limited on Thursday, and then didn't participate on Friday. He is out. He will not be playing in this game. And then the other guys that were listed, again, not injury-related, just resting, was Jake Matthews, the offensive tackle, Taquan Graham, defensive tackle, David Onyemata, with another defensive tackle, and then the other defensive tackle, Grady Jarrett. So, like, their entire defensive tackle room just took a break and one offensive tackle. So, I don't know what that's about, but.
Yeah, it looks like all of them practiced both Wednesday and Thursday. So they just have them fresh for the game, apparently. So,
Yep.
Oh, that's up to them to do that sort of thing. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers on their injury list, we got a whole different animal going on. So you probably heard by now about the Russell Wilson injury. He re-aggravated his calf injury, has only been limited in practice so far. They're calling him questionable for the game, being that he did not practice in full this week, either Thursday or Friday. I would make the assumption that we're going to see Justin Fields as the starter. It'll be a game time decision, I'm sure, but Russell Wilson is definitely a big question mark going into this game, especially since this is the same muscle that he already injured in training camp and missed all of training camp because of.
Yep.
So that's definitely concerning. Beyond him, Roman Wilson is still limited coming back from that ankle sprain that also happened to him early in the preseason process. He missed all 3 preseason games due to that ankle injury. He's working back. He's been limited, but they're not pushing it. He's not 100% ready yet, so he has been ruled out for the game. Corey Trice Jr. Apparently has a groin injury going on, but he's been a full participant both Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
So expect him to be ready to go for the game. Jaylen Warren, with that hamstring that caused him to miss so much time in the preseason, has been a full go. So Jalen's going to be ready for the first game. We were worried about that. We don't have to be worried about that anymore. I even remember seeing his name listed on the depth chart as a kick return man. So there's a possibility we do get a chance to see him doing that, which is something we were hoping to see. Isaac Seumalo, obviously with that pectoral injury, has not practiced this week. Expect that to be the same for at least the next few weeks here. He will be out for this upcoming game. Troy Fautanu with that knee has been a full participant. excellent news to hear because he's been limited previous to this. So full participant multiple times this week, including both Thursday and Friday. That's great news because typically when you go full for the first time, if you're going to have a flare up, that's when it's going to happen. And then they're going to push you back to limited again. So great sign that he was able to go full both days in a row. Expect him to be active for Sunday's game. Darnell Washington did miss a day this week with a knee injury. It was Thursday. What extent, who knows, but he only missed Thursday. He practiced full on Friday. Maybe it was just a little bit sore on him. Maybe it was a little swelling and he needed to go down. With no specific injury, it's very tough to speculate. His knees were something that were kind of an injury check mark for some teams during the pre-draft process. So it could be that it's something that he's just going to need to clean up after the season just to keep it from being an issue for him in the future. But I expect that to be kind of an off and on thing all season long for him, unfortunately, unless this is going to be like a one-off. Could be a one-off. Who knows? Let's hope for that. Last guy here on the list, Logan Lee. Has missed all week, did not participate with a calf injury. By the way, he switched to jersey number 91. Like that a lot better than 74 for him for a defensive end. So
I agree.
Good number. Good number change. So officially out for the game, Roman Wilson, Isaac Seumalo, Logan Lee, and a questionable for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, more than likely not playing in this game, but we will see.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go over the Atlanta Falcons starting lineup. We'll give you guys the rundown. Again, this is our new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith's first time back. Only time back at this point. As our offensive coordinator, he was previously the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, came over in the offseason to Pittsburgh, and now gets to go up against this team. So we're going to see what he can do offensively. But before we do that, let's see what offense he would have been working with had he still been in Atlanta. So obviously the two quarterbacks we're going to talk about here, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. being the younger guy, Kirk Cousins obviously being around the league for a very long time. Penix Jr. out of Washington is the rookie. I kind of am curious to see if they'll have any packages with Penix coming in just out of creativity. We'll kind of wait and see. But Kirk Cousins is a very capable quarterback, an obvious upgrade from what they've been dealing with the past few years. So got to watch out for him. You want to talk wide receivers, James?
Yeah, a very interesting group here. Drake London, the former first pick, Darnell Mooney, and Ray McLeod III. Look out for Ray. We know him. He is quick and elusive. Just sometimes fumbles the ball, especially as a return man. So something that we might be able to take advantage of if he's listed as the return man. I would love to see that. Tight end room. Did you already talk about tight ends, Cody?
I did not. Tight ends or running backs.
So
haven't hit either of them.
Okay, Kyle Pitts, the tight end, also a former first-round draft pick, with Charlie Warner backing him up, Ross Dwelly in behind there. Kyle Pitts, an extremely athletic tight end. Not a dominating blocker. This is somebody that could give you a real handful. Look for Peyton Wilson to draw the matchup with him over and over. A lot of Deshaun Elliott covering him as well. Might be difficult for a guy like Elandon Roberts to try to keep up with him just because of how quick he is. But I think Patrick Queen ought to be okay with him too. So finally, we're in a situation where we can look at an extremely athletic move tight end and say, we got guys. So that's a really nice thing to have a change of pace there. You want to talk about the running back room and lead into the wide receiver or offensive line here?
Yeah. So Bijan Robinson, their starting running back, obviously a big name. He wound up, great. Rookie year last year, ran for 976 yards and 4 touchdowns. Expect him to have a breakout year too. I expect him to be a 1,000-yard rusher. Tyler Algier is the backup. Avery Williams and Jace McClellan. I don't expect to see either of the last two come in at all, but we will wait and see depending on what happens. Offensive lineman. So left tackle Jake Matthews is a very capable. He's been around for a while, if I'm not mistaken. But he's the only left tackle started. He's been with the Falcons since 2014. So he's been consistent there. Matthew Bergeron is also their starting left guard. He's been with the team only a year. He was a rookie last year. He's backed up by Javon Gwynn. And then you have Drew Dowman, the starting center, backed up by Ryan Nuzil. Chris Lindstrom, which is a guy we've talked about in the past. Very capable guy, been around since 2019. Had himself a good year last year. And then right tackle Caleb McGarry, backed up by Storm Norton. McGarry, I believe, was acquired. No, that he's been around too since 2019. So that this offensive line should be well capable to at least. I know you're licking your lips, but they've been around together for a while.
They should have good chemistry, but having good chemistry as a mediocre offensive line
That's fair.
means TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, fresh off of being fully rested and fully injury free right now. Nick Herbig looking like a future rising star. This defensive front for Pittsburgh could absolutely feast. And Kirk Cousins, not known for being a super mobile quarterback,
Could be in trouble.
You know where he's going to be, man. And I think we might have a little bit of meet you at the quarterback going on. I'm really excited about this group here, man. Capable offensive line. None of these guys are your like elite tier. Not anything that should scare anyone on the defensive front for the Steelers. I think this could be a real fun matchup for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, James, you want to transition over and talk about this defensive front for Atlanta?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a strength for them. Ironically, same for us. Defensive front is strength. Grady Jarrett, they're listing him as a left defensive end there. Stupid pops ups with Spectrum, man. I can't wait to get rid of them. They're getting rid of them tomorrow. Thank goodness. Actually, today in about 4 hours, no more Spectrum. Thank God. So Grady Jarrett, very accomplished defensive lineman. David Onyemata, listed as the nose tackle, the right defensive end. Zach Harrison, kind of like an outside linebacker type.
Yep.
So definitely something. Oh man, this is real bad. These pop ups from Spectrum right now. Matthew Judon, outside linebacker. They just traded for him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he
so
spent a
that's
lot of
something to
time with
keep an eye
Baltimore
on.
and New England, so now he's at Atlanta.
Yeah, you want to transition to the linebacker core for me here, Cody?
Yeah, absolutely. So Matthew Judon, he was listed as the where's he at? Outside linebacker.
They've got him as the weak side linebacker. He's a pass rusher. That's what he is.
Oh, big time. So Judon here and Lorenzo Carter are listed as the outside linebackers, the pass rushers. Judon, like I said, played with Baltimore and New England. Had a year with 15 and a half sacks in New England before last year. He had an injury go down and only had 4 sacks on the year. So expect him to have a potential bounce back game, even potentially against Pittsburgh. We'll see how this goes. Lorenzo Carter's been around for 7 years, played mostly with the Giants before recently transitioning to the Falcons. And then when we look at the interior linebackers, you have Troy Anderson and Caden Ellis. Troy Anderson being the guy, if I'm not mistaken, he's been here for 3 years with Atlanta. This is his third year, excuse me. No real crazy numbers for him. I don't believe he was starting last year. I could be wrong about that. Caden Ellis, on the other hand, has been around for a while, mostly played with the Saints before transitioning to Atlanta last year. AFC South consistently through NFC South, for his career. Now, looking at the cornerback room in the secondary, AJ Terrell Jr., a young guy that's been in the league a few years now, very talented corner. Mike Hughes, the other outside starting cornerback, and then D. Alford, the starting nickelback. A capable secondary, nothing that I'm like super afraid of, other than the fact that we're kind of uncertain how our quarterback play is going to be. So we'll see how that goes. Now the safety room is another concern. So Jesse Bates the
heck of a
third,
duo, ain't it?
yeah, Jesse Bates the third is a guy that we are very familiar with, as he played with Cincinnati for every year from 2018 to 2022 before being with Atlanta last year. And then also Justin Simmons. Now this was a Justin Simmons safety that has spent a lot of time with the Denver Broncos from 2016 to up until this year, his first time being away from Denver. This is a guy that I wanted Pittsburgh to go out and get in free agency, but then he wound up going to Atlanta recently, actually. I don't think he hasn't been signed with them for very, very long.
It was within like a day of the Matthew Judon. They picked up both those guys, yeah.
Yeah. So very, very concerned with the safety room, but hopefully Pittsburgh can figure out a way to, look them off, or Justin Fields or whoever's playing, Russell Wilson, can look the safeties off and create some opportunities for these wide receivers and tight ends down the middle field. Expect some of these one-on-ones with Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington to be with either of those two safeties. So very concerning safety room there, in my opinion. James, you want to talk special teams?
Yeah, absolutely. And both those guys, extremely talented safeties, but neither one of them overly huge guys, right?
No.
I want to say they're both right around 6 foot or 6'1" or something. So not real tall, menacing guys.
Bates
should
is
still be
6'1",
able,
Justin Simmons
Yeah.
is 6'2".
Yeah. So you should still be able to have some good height mismatches with your tight ends in this team. The special teams, as Cody alluded to, the kicker is going to be Young Ho Koo. We've known him. He's been in the league for a little while now.
Yep.
A pretty reliable kicker. The punter and holder, Bradley Pinion, also an experienced veteran in the league. Punt return and kick return duties to Avery Williams, with Mike Hughes listed as the backup at both positions. They don't have Ray McLeod listed as a return man.
Nope.
You never know, though. Never know. You can always hope. Long snapper, Liam McCullough. Why? Because long snappers are important,
matter.
Cody.
Yep.
Just ask the Cincinnati Bengals.
We're never going to live that down, and I love it.
Not a chance.
Yep, and Liam has been with the team ever since he was a rookie in the 2022 season, so he has some experience long snapping. We'll see how well he does in this game. Maybe they get a bad snap and we get an easy something turnover. Who knows? But James, it's that time. It's time for 3 keys to success. Would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
I'll tell you what. You can go first today. I'll let you kick off the season with your 3 keys.
All right. You want me to go all 3, or
kick them all out, buddy?
Okay. So number 1 for my key to success, Pittsburgh has to put up more than 25 points. We saw a struggling offense all preseason that could not really go out and put up points up until that 3rd preseason game. We saw 2 touchdowns back to back, and that was pretty much it. It was very unfortunate. Pittsburgh needs to come out firing on all cylinders. We need to put up more than 25 points. I firmly believe that Kirk Cousins will at least throw for 1 touchdown. Bijan Robinson potentially run for another. That's 14 points up for them right then and there. I'd like to win this game comfortably. Pittsburgh needs to put up 25 points. Number 2, the one that always comes, and I'm not going to talk about the one that you think it is. It's not the one. It's not the win the turnover battle, because that is a good one.
What?
No, Pittsburgh needs to get to the quarterback. We need to get hits. We need to get hurries. We need to get sacks. My goal for this is 3 sacks for the whole team in this week 1. I hope it's more, but I think if we get 3 sacks, we ruffle Kirk Cousins' feathers as the new Falcon member. I think there's a chance that Pittsburgh can make some turnovers out of those sack fumbles, sacks, bad field position, whatever. And third, but not least, James, George Pickens needs to get at least 10 balls thrown his way. Every time in his career that he's had 10 balls or more thrown his way, he's had over 100 yards receiving and I think a touchdown in all those games except 1. So George Pickens needs to be heavily involved in the offense, and I want to see him get balls thrown his way.
I like it, Cody. I like it. In fact, we've got a little bit of overlap. It's similar, but it's different, and it's my first one, so I'm going to get it out of the way.
Okay.
You saw how excited I got when we talked about the Falcons' offensive line. I feel strongly that Pittsburgh's defensive front, both defensive linemen and outside linebackers, and the fact that we have added some inside linebackers with pass rushing ability with Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen, I'm looking at 5+ sacks out of this Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have a big day getting after Kirk Cousins. He's not getting any younger. In this offensive line for the Falcons isn't bad, but I don't think it's good enough to be ready for TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig, and what appears to be a healthy Larry Ogunjobi for the first time as a Steeler as well. Yeah. He actually had a pretty good preseason, so if he can push that into the regular season, this could be a very, very formidable defensive front for Pittsburgh. That could be a big problem for a lot of teams this year, and I think it starts week 1 with 5+ sacks. Number 2, key to success for me, Pittsburgh cannot allow more than 2 sacks. The offensive line needs to hold up. We need to have a comfortable pocket, whether it's Russell Wilson, whether it's Justin Fields. Keep them clean. Don't let these guys panic and start trying to work outside of the normal offensive scheme and offensive play call. Let them run the plays by protecting them. So very important that our offensive line and running backs and tight ends do a great job with pass blocking this week. I think 2 sacks is fine. More than 2, they're going to get jittery feet, and they're going to start feeling pressure when it's not there and making mistakes.
Yep.
My final key to success, absolutely no overlap with you, Cody. So 2 out of 3, not bad, right? I'm looking at 150 plus yards running the ball this week.
knew it was
I
gonna be
think
rushing.
Pittsburgh is going to go heavy on the running offense. And I don't care if it's all from one guy or combined from both, but big time running productivity with 150 plus yards.
Yeah, you have to imagine that with Jalen Warren potentially being healthy, that him and Najee can easily run. I mean, listen, even if it's Justin Fields running the ball, that's still rushing yards. So you never know. Maybe Justin Fields gets involved with that rushing game. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, if you guys have 3 keys to success you want to share with us, whether in the YouTube comments or just in private message on social media, please let us know. We'd love to talk about those when we do our recap show. Again, can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to follow and like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Don't cost you a thing. James.
Also, look for us on the new Hardcore Sports. We've partnered up with a new broadcasting company. Mitch at Hardcore Sports is been kind enough to offer us the opportunity to work with him. So our content is also going to be available on their site on YouTube. So check that out. You're going to see us available on some of their shows too. They do a Sunday morning pick'ems show. And then they also do a Wednesday evening show. Lots of live shows on their YouTube channel. Look for Cody and I to start appearing on some of those with those fine folks there as well.
Yeah. Yep. Can't wait for that. And you will see a link to their social or their YouTube page in the description below. So again, thank you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe on all those things. And remember, Pittsburgh Steelers football is back. Get excited. Until next time, This is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.
Steelers by